Alright, so welcome back everybody. So for this video, I'm going to show you guys how to play River Valley Glassworks. So let's get started. So the object of the game in this game is to collect glass and to fill your player board, which is the glassworks, with the glass that you're collecting. Now what you're going to do is you're going to collect a glass and it's going to go into these rows, okay? Starting with the left, working your way to the right and up. Now, when you are putting glass onto your player board, you're going to put it, like I said, you're going to start it here. And then if you have multiple glass that you've collected at the same time, you're going to choose which one is going to go here first because you're going to place the glass according to color. Based on color is how they will go into your glassworks, okay? So you'll have like maybe white and purple and green and so on in each different column, okay? As you collect more of the same color of glass, then they will just go higher up, forming a column, okay? Now the way you score victory points in this game is two ways. There's only two ways to score victory points in this game. One way to score victory points in this game is to fill an entire row from left to right. If you do that, well, it would be 22 points. Right here it says 22. So if you get a glass, and there's a glass from all the way to here, that's 22 points. For every row you complete, that's going to be 22 points. However, for instance, if I had a glass here, 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 and here, but I did not get a glass here, that would be an incomplete row, and I wouldn't get any glass at all. There has to be glass in this column, okay, in order for a row to be scored. So let's do some examples, okay? Let's just say, let me grab some glass and hope I get a bunch of different colors here to start us off. So let's do each of these according to their color. So we have at least one row scored. That one's the same color as that. Wow, I got lots of the same of those colors. So let me see if I can get some more. Okay, so we got some more. So we've got a yellow, we've got an orange, and we got cobalt, it looks like. Okay, so that's a complete first row, and so this row would be 22 points, okay? Now, if we had something like, you know, I need another green, hold on. I guess I could just grab it from the board, but that's okay. And then, let's say we had something like that, for instance. So let's say this was our second row complete. Well, it's not complete because we don't have a glass here. And so we wouldn't score another 22 points. We wouldn't score anything extra for this second row because it's incomplete, okay? So, but if it was complete and we had another purple there, then that would be 22 plus 22 points already. So that would be, well, 44 points. So that's one of the ways you'll score points is by completing rows. Now, if you don't, let's say you don't complete a row, but you have, there's glass on the first one. Well, then you'll just score the amount of points that you would reach. So if your second row only had 4 glass in it, starting from left to right, exactly like this, then you would just get 7 points for that second row, which means that if you continue to build up the rows and start forming columns almost, let's say these are the two here, then for this third row here, since you have 2 glass there, you're going to score 2 points, which also means if your fourth row has a glass in the first column in the fourth row, basically, but that's the only one you have, you're still going to score 1 point for that row, even though you only have 1 glass there, okay? So that's one of the ways you'll score points. Now, a second way you'll score points is based on columns. You can only score for your 2 highest columns. So if these were my highest columns here, I would score 4 points, and I would score 6 points if this was the exact equation. So that's 10 points. But if we zoom in a bit, you'll notice if you were to complete this column up to here, you would score 35 points. So the idea is you want to complete the columns on this end and not on this end as much. So it's a little bit of a balancing act, because while it'd be nice to complete as many rows as you can, you also want to have your highest columns over here, but then that also means you don't want your highest columns to be on this side for more than one reason. So let me explain that. So let's say, for instance, I need to find some more glass of this cobalt blue. Let me take one of these. So, and then maybe this one here for white, perhaps. Okay, so let's say these were my 3 highest columns. Well, because they're my 3 highest columns and I can only score 2 of my highest columns, it's always going to be the columns that are closest to the left that score first. So since these 3 are equal, it would still be these 2 columns here that would score me points, 4 and 8 points. So that'd be 12 points. So even though I worked so hard to get this cobalt color column all the way up to the 4th row, because it was tied with the other 2 columns, I wouldn't get to score this column, which would be horrible, right? But, you know, if I managed to get it a little higher somehow, like with another cobalt, then yeah, then I would at least score this one, which would be 35 points, and I would score this purple one because it's still the closest one to the left, which would be 4 points. This one right here would get ignored because this is the first highest, and this is the second highest closest to the left, as in it's on the left. So that's how you're going to score columns, and that's how you're going to score rows. So that's how you score points. Also, to help you along with how you want to potentially build these rows and columns, you'll notice we have a bunch of the colors here from common to rare. So even though maybe perhaps the start of the game, some of the common colors actually aren't around, that doesn't mean that the other colors that are out, like that cobalt blue and that green, aren't going to be that means they're not going to be showing up that often because they're already out there. That means they're going to show up less because they're rarer, like green especially. Green especially is rarer than purple and white. So potentially, you could want this green color, maybe this orange color, closer to the left potentially, so that way you can get the more common colors higher up. But you don't want them to be too high, because whenever you have to take a glass, let's say I had to take these 2 and add these 2 to my player board. Well, you'll notice these 2 colors here, only one of them can fit. So let's say I put that there because it's the only one that can fit in that column. Well, I still have to take this even though there's no place for it. And I couldn't certainly put it into another segment of the row, another column, because it's the same color as purple. So what's going to happen is this glass is going to go into my overflow. And for every glass that is in my overflow, that is minus 3 points. Ouch. And there is no limit to how many glass can be in your overflow, just so you know. So that is something to note. You're going to be wanting to obviously think about what glass you're taking, because there is a limit to what you can take. Also, you'll notice that if you look at the color coordination board here on the left, there's actually 8 colors, and 9 if you're playing with 5 players. But in a normal game, 4, 3, and 2, and 1, there would only be 8 colors here. Still, you'll notice there's only room for 7 colors here. That means if you ever take an 8th color, a color that can't go here because you're already full on 7 colors, that means the 8th color, which I don't have. Oh, here it is. Here's the 8th color. Well, actually, is that the same color as this? No, it's not. So yeah, it's hard to tell sometimes in the light. But yeah, this is the 8th color I do not have. So then every color for every one of these I got, because I don't have a place for it, it's also going to go into my overflow. And so I definitely don't want to take this color since I don't have space for it, for sure. Or whatever color might be the one that you don't take for the first 7 is definitely not a color you're going to want to take if you can help it. But yes, you're going to get some minus points if you do end up taking a color you don't want, especially if it's something that's you're already full on as well. So that's the general idea of how that's going to work for the score. So let's get to the flow of the game. Let's explain the flow of the game now. All right, so on your turn, you can take one of two actions, okay? You can either gather glass from the river, okay? Or you can draw glass from the lake. Now, when you decide to gather glass from the river, you're going to take your satchel here, and you're going to put one of these glass that is from your satchel, and you're going to put it onto this river, okay, according to its shape, okay? You'll notice all of the glass here have various different shapes, and shape does matter in this portion of the game. It matters because you're only able to place glass based on its shape. So, for instance, let's zoom in a bit, just on the river part. You'll notice this one sort of looks like a gourd almost. Well, this glass shape here almost looks like a gourd as well. And so that means if I was to take this piece on my turn, I would have to put it here for the action, okay? Because that matches that one. So that means this oval looking shape, it has to be an oval looking shape like I have here. If I wanted to put that glass, yellow glass, I'd have to put it there. And then this one, this shape here, an octagon or something like that, or hexagon actually, it's a hexagon, right? I'd have to put the hexagon shape here, for instance, if I was to take this action. But I'm only going to be placing one most likely, so one shape. I'm only allowed to place one shape. Now I say I'm only allowed to place one shape because if you have two shapes, even if they're two different colors, if you have two shapes that are exactly the same, you can choose to place both of these shapes on your turn. So I could place both of those there if I wanted to because they're the same shape, but only a maximum of two. So if I had three of the same shape, I wouldn't be able to do three. But I could do two if I wanted to, if I had something like that. But I didn't, but yes, I could have. So that's the idea of placing those out. Now, let's say I do that. So I'm going to do that. Let me place out one of these glass pieces. Let's say I place this nice green glass gourd looking shape there. Now, because I did that, I must take glass from another river segment. So this is a river segment, another area. I can't take glass from here because that's where I place the glass. So I'd have to take glass from this one because it's adjacent to it. Which means if I had instead placed this yellow oval looking shape here, I would have a choice. I could either take glass from this tile or I could take the glass from this tile, for instance, okay? And place it onto my player board, and that would be my action, okay? But let's just say I put the gourd here, okay? And let's say these are the glass I'm taking. So then, now that I've taken these two glass, I have a decision to make on where I'm going to put these glass, okay? Since I got them both at the same time, I'm deciding which color I'm putting down first. I can choose which one I want to do since I've got them at the same time. So I'm going to put this slightly rarer cobalt blue color there, and this slightly more common lighter blue color here. So now that means my cobalts are going to go here, and the other blue color is going to go here when I get them, okay? That means the other colors, like the more common white and purple, are going to be going in one of these columns, potentially, right? That's the idea. So my turn would be done, but the action is not complete yet. So let me zoom back out so we can show you what happens next. So after you have taken your glass, you're going to take the empty river segment and you're going to slide the rest of the river segments upwards, okay? Up closer to the lake. And then you're going to take the empty one and place it at the back, okay? Now, what you're going to do next is, you'll notice each of these are going to have stones on the end of them. This one has two, this one has one, this one has two, this one has one, this had two, this one had one. So at the start of the game, setup-wise, you're going to know because you're going to be placing out stones, or should I say glass, based on the stone or 2 stones on each of the river segments. So let's put this back here like so and add 2 glass, okay, to that river. And there we go. That means my turn is now over, okay? So that's what I've done. So the glass here in my satchel that I get from my satchel here will never necessarily go straight here. They're going to go to the river first. That means another player could potentially get these 2 glass, or maybe I could if nobody else takes it further later and I get them somehow later, right? But the point is, the glass in your satchel does not belong to you initially, okay? Now, let's just say a whole bunch of other players have taken their turn, and now it's my turn again, and I'm going to go again taking the same action, okay? This is important to know this, so I'm going to do this now. So let's say I do that. I'm going to place this yellow oval shape here. Actually, no. Let's do this one, actually. So let's say I do this purple hexagon shape here. I can now take from the 2 adjacent ones. Now, you'll notice there was 3 glass here, and you're probably thinking, why am I not taking this tile here since it has 3 glass on it? Well, that would be nice for sure, especially in the beginning of the game. Getting 3 glass on your turn would be awesome. But I don't have this triangle shape, so therefore there is no way I can get these 3 glass. Maybe my opponents can, maybe they can't. Maybe they have a triangle, maybe they don't. But yes, that's the problem. Sometimes you can't get everything that you would like to get because you just don't have access to everything. But yes, I put the shape here for the hexagon, okay, because it matches this icon there, for instance. And I'm going to take these 2 because 2 is better than 1, most likely. And now I have to take and put these down according to how I want to arrange them. So I'll put the green one here because it's rarer, and I will put the purple one here because it's more common. That's kind of my idea, my strategy. Now, I didn't do this the first round, but whenever you obtain glass, you've got a marker here that tells you how many glass you have, and you're supposed to do that after you take glass. So normally it would have been here last turn, so now it's actually here on number 4. The way you know the game is about to be over is it's hard to see because the numbers are so small, right? So let's zoom in. Now you can see that there's a 17 there. When this thing reaches 17 or passes it, well, there's no way for it to pass it, but once it reaches 17 or beyond, that triggers the game end, okay? What's going to happen is we'll explain later, but that's how you know when the game is going to end. We'll explain at the very end of this video what happens when you trigger the end of game. But just so you know, that's the case. But for now, this thing is right on the 4, okay? All right, so now let me explain the second action that you can take, okay? It's quite simple, really. You'll notice I have only 1 glass here in my satchel. Well, once I have no glass here, it means I can't take this action anymore, right? And it also means I'm limited to what I can take because I only have 1 shape, okay? Of course, if I had 2 of the same shape, I still might not have much to do, but you'll get why I wouldn't want to do it if I had 2 of the same shape still here. So the second action I can take is I can draw glass from the river and put them into my satchel. Now, when you do this action, draw glass from the lake, you must take 4. No less, no more. 4 exactly, okay? And you'll notice your satchel will say max 5, okay? You start with 3, but it says max 5, okay? So you can only have 5 max when that happens. But let's just say for the point of argument that I decided that I had 2 of the same shape here, and I didn't like my option of drawing from the river because I have 2 of the same shape here. And I wanted more choices, okay? And I decided to take draw from the river action. Let's say I decide to do that. Well, I still have to take 4 glass, right? So let's take 4 glass. Well, I don't want another oval shape, so I'll take this one, this one, this one, and this one. Now, when I put these glass into the bag, now I have 6 glass. That's more than 5. So I must take one of these from my satchel. Oh, I know. let's take this one because I don't want multiples of these exact shapes. But when this happens, when there's an overflow in your satchel, it's going to go to your overflow, which means -3 points at the end of the game. So taking more glass than you are able to. So if you had 2 glass in your satchel and you take 4, that's a bad idea because you're going to get -3 points every time because you have to discard down to 5 anyway for your satchel. So that's the downside to doing that. So it's best to take this action when you only have 1 glass in your satchel to begin with, or 0, okay? Then take 4. That's the best idea. But if you don't, then the disadvantage of that is you're going to get -3 points for the overflow of that glass because you did it that way. But that's how that's going to work. So that's the second action, and then you would just refill the lake after taking your action, so that way there's 5 glass here for the next player, okay? So there's only one more thing to explain, the end of the game. So, let me say I had just 1 glass here left, and somebody triggered the end of game. If I didn't trigger it, somebody else got 17, but let's just say, you know, that somebody else is him, regardless of the case. So let's just say I ended it anyways. I have 17 exactly. Now, the game is almost done. You'll finish the full round. Everybody gets an equal amount of turns. So if there was 3 people playing and I went first in this game and I ended it, then the other 2 players still get to finish the round and take their turn. But before they take their turn, every player that has 2 or less glass in their satchel gets to get up to 3 glass. So, for instance, I only have 1 glass in my satchel. I could draw 2 more from this bag to put into my satchel. The reason why you get to do this is it strengthens the possibility of you having a better last turn. Because if you, for instance, finished your second to last turn and you had no glass, that means your last turn would be filling this bag up because you have nothing else you can do, which would be lame for sure. But when that happens immediately, everybody draws up to 3 glass. So if they have 3 glass, then they don't draw. But if they have less than 3, they draw up to 3. And then you finish the round. So everybody has gotten an extra. Everybody has finished the round and gotten all their turns equal. Then you get 1 more round. That means all players get 1 more turn. And then even though I ended it and I still have 1 more turn, I still have these 3 glass for a nice balance of decisions for my final turn. And that's basically how you play River Valley Glassworks. Like I said, it'll be the player who has the most victory points at the end. You get victory points for completing rows and get victory points for your 2 highest columns whenever they may be 2 highest, but it will always be the ones that are closest to the left if there's a tie for first highest or second highest for that matter. That's how that is going to work. And that's how you play River Valley Glassworks. And don't forget, minus 3 points for every one of those you have in your overflow. So, thank you guys for watching this How to Play. Hopefully it wasn't too long. Hopefully I explained everything you need to know in order to play the game. And I'll see you guys again next time. Bye.